Hey everybody, welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. Today we're going to cover how to say even though A, B, or alternatively although A, B. And in order to do this, we're going to use the Japanese structure in which we have a plain form of A, whatever A is going to be, a verb, an adjective, or noun. And then we're going to follow that with the phrasing no ni. Then we're going to have be in whatever conjugation you want it to be, depending on whatever it is. So again, that's going to be plain form A no ni, B as even though A, B. So that's the basic structure of the Japanese grammar construct, but there is a little tidbit of information that we need to know beforehand before we actually go into the examples. When we use this grammar construct in Japanese, even though it's going to translate to English as even though, it's not going to be completely identical. If we want B, the second phrase, to be a request, a suggestion, or any other kind of volitional expression on behalf of the speaker, we can't use this grammar construct. Instead, we'd use the contraction ga or some other grammar construct that means but as opposed to even though. The no-ni grammar construct that we have here that translates to even though is more suited to matter-of-fact statements as opposed to personal expression, basically. So that's pretty much all the basic information that we need to know before we delve into some specific examples. But for the examples themselves, we're going to split them into categories. First up, we're going to go with using verbs with this grammar construct. Then we're going to move into adjectives, and we'll split the adjectives into E and non-adjectives, and then last we'll cover nouns with this grammar construct. So as per the norm, we're going to start with verbs with this grammar construct, and when we're using verbs, we just have to know that the verbs have to be in plain form, and again, as we should know by now, plain form is kind of this umbrella category that constitutes the nai form, the dictionary form, the ta form, and maybe some others that aren't as important right now. And of course, another thing to note here is even though this first phrase, the verb that you're using in the beginning of the sentence is going to be in its plain form, that doesn't mean the whole sentence automatically has to be plain. The whole sentence can still be polite if you conjugate the second phrase into the polite form. So we'll go through two examples using verbs with this grammar construct, no ni, and our first example sentence is彼は車があるのに毎日のように自転車を乗ります. And what this sentence translates to is basically, even though he has a car, he rides his bicycle almost every day. Note, like I just pointed out earlier, that this whole sentence is polite. The whole sentence itself can still be polite even though the no ni requires that the verb that is in front of it be plain form. So let's break down this sentence bit by bit. First up, we have kare, which is going to be he. We have wa, marking he or him as the topic of the sentence. We have kuruma, which is going to be the noun for car. After kuruma, we have ga aru, and this basically just translates to he has a car. Then we have no ni following the verb, the existential verb aru, because aru is in plain form here, so we can in fact use this grammar construct, so we add the no ni there. So this is going to be even though he has a car. Then the rest of the sentence is mainichi no you ni jitensha o norimasu. Mainichi no you ni is just an expression that means almost every day. Mainichi is going to be every day. No yoni is going to modify that to mean almost every day. Right after that, we have the word jitensha, which is going to be bicycle. It's the noun for bicycle. We have o marking jitensha as the direct object of the sentence. Then we have the verb norimasu, which is going to be noru in its mas form, and noru means to ride. So the whole sentence, even though he has a car, he rides his bicycle or a bicycle almost every day. 彼は車があるのに毎日のように自転車を乗ります. Okay, so that's pretty simple using no ni with verbs in their plain form. We'll go through one more examples for verbs. For our next one, we have the line 徹夜したのに全然疲れていません. And what this line is saying is just, even though I pulled an all-nighter, or even though I stayed up all night, I don't feel tired at all. Let's break down the sentence. We have 徹夜する. It's a verbal noun. It means to stay up all night or to pull an all-nighter, basically. We're going to conjugate suru into its ta form because we want to express that this happened in the past. So it's going to turn into tetsuya shita, and shita is the ta form of suru, but it's still a plain form, so we can use no ni here. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have no ni right after tetsuya shita, and then we're going to fill it in with the rest of the sentence. We have zen zen, which is just going to mean not at all in this sentence, and then it's going to modify what comes right after, which is going to be tsukarete imasen, and this is just going to be the te form plus the negative form of imasu to mean not tired or have not become tired. And that's the whole sentence, basically. And so yeah, once again, the whole sentence, tetsuya shita no ni zenzen tsukarete imasen, is even though I pulled an all-nighter, I am not tired at all. Okay, now we're going to move into adjectives, using adjectives with no ni to mean even though, adjective, something. And to start off, we're going to cover e-adjectives. We're just going to do one example for e-adjectives because they're really simple. All we have to do is leave them in their plain form, which is basically just using the e-adjective itself and following it with no ni. So for our example sentence for e-adjectives with no ni, we have the line takai no ni basketo ga heta da. And all this line is really saying is, even though I'm tall, I'm bad at basketball. Let's break down the sentence bit by bit. First up we have takai, and that's just going to be the e-adjective to mean tall. And we have the e-adjective in its plain form because they're kind of just naturally in their plain form. So we can follow that with no ni, so that's going to be even though tall. It's going to be read as even though I am tall. We have basketo, which is just going to be the short form of basketball in katakana. And then we have the particle ga right after it. And then we have heta. And then we have da to end the sentence. And basketball ga heta is the grammar construct that means bad at basketball. And so we combine that with the first part of the sentence, and all it's really saying is, even though I'm tall, I'm bad at basketball. Takai no ni basketo ga heta da. Now we're going to move on to the na-adjectives, how to use this with no ni. And the funny thing about this is that the guidelines for na-adjectives with the no ni grammar construct is exactly the same for nouns. So we're basically covering two subcategories here with these guidelines. And when we use na-adjectives or nouns with the no ni construction, all we really have to do is put the particle or character na right after the na-adjective or the noun before we insert no ni. And that's if we're using it in the present tense. If it's not in the present tense, then all we really have to do then is conjugate the respective form of das. So for example, if it's in the past, then we'll just have the na-adjective or the noun followed by datta, which is the plain past tense of des. Then we follow that with no ni, then the rest of the sentence. If it's in the negative tense, then we can just have the na-adjective or the noun followed by janai or dewanai. Then we have no ni right after that and the rest of the sentence. So let's go through some examples. We'll do one for the na-adjective in its past tense, and then we'll do one for a noun in present tense. For our example sentence for the na-adjective, we have the line Kino no shiken wa kantan datta no ni yoku shuchu dekinakatta. So what this line is saying is, even though yesterday's test was simple or easy, I wasn't able to concentrate very well. So we'll break down the sentence now. We have Kino no shiken, that's just going to be yesterday's test, the test of yesterday. We have wa marking as the topic of the sentence. We have kantan, which is the na-adjective that means simple or easy. We have datta right after kantan because that's just the past plain conjugation of des following a na-adjective. After that, we have no ni. So the first part of the sentence reads, even though yesterday's test was easy or simple. And then for the rest of the sentence, we have yoku shuchu dekinakatta. Yoku is just going to be an adverb here that's modifying shuchu. Suru, which is the verbal noun we're using, it's going to translate to well. But here, shuchu is going to be in its negative past form, so then it's going to be not well, basically. And shuchu suru, the verbal noun here, means to concentrate or to focus, and it's in its past negative form here, or rather past negative potential form here, because I was not able to concentrate. So we changed suru into dekiru, and then we changed that into its nai form, which is dekinai, and then we changed that into its past form, which is dekinakatta. So that's shuchu suru, to focus or to concentrate. We negate it, we potentialize it, and then we past tense it, so it turns into was not able to focus or concentrate. And then we combine all of this with the rest of the sentence, and we have, even though the test yesterday was easy or simple, I wasn't able to concentrate well or very well. Kino no shiken wa kantan datta no ni yoku shuchu dekinakatta. So that's using a na-adjective with a no ni grammar construct when the na-adjective is expressed in the past tense. Now we'll move on to a noun in the present tense with no ni, and as we should know, we could just as easily substitute the noun that I'm going to use with a na-adjective in the present tense, and it'll be grammatically correct because they follow the same guidelines. So for our example sentence for a noun with the no ni grammar construct, we have the line Kare wa chimu no eisu na no ni renshu ni kimasen. And what this line is going to translate to is basically, even though he's the ace of the team or the best player on the team, he does not come to practice. Let's break down the sentence bit by bit. First up, we have kare, which is going to be he or him. We have wa marking he as him as the topic of the sentence. We have chimu, which is going to be team. Then we have the particle no, it's going to be the noun of a noun. After that, we have eisu, which is going to be ace. So this grammar construct at play here, the noun of a noun construction, is going to be ace of the team or team ace. And this is going to be a noun, so we're going to have to follow that with the particle or the character na before we can add no ni. So it's going to be eisu na, then we add no ni, so it's eisu na no ni. And now we can move on to the second part of the sentence, and that's just going to be renshu ni kimasen. Renshu is going to be practice. Ni is going to be the locational or the directional particle marking practice as kind of the destination. Then we have kimasen, which is kuru in its negative polite form, kimasen. So if kuru means to come, then kimasen means to not come. And so the second part of the sentence reads, does not come to practice. We combine that with the first part of the sentence. Even though he's the ace of the team, he does not come to practice. 彼はチームのエースなのに練習に来ません. And so yeah, that's how we're using the grammar construct here, the no ni phrasing to mean even though. It's kind of a contraction that you can use with two different clauses, and we've covered cases in which the first clause is going to be a verb or an e-adjective or a non-adjective or a noun, and that pretty much should set you up to express a lot of different kind of sentences, almost any kind of sentences that you want to express that have this kind of nuance to them.